Welcome to the LDN radio show, brought to you by the LDN Research Trust. I'm your host, Linda Elsiegood. I have an exciting lineup of guest speakers who are LDN experts in their field. We will be discussing low-dose Naltrexone and its many uses in autoimmune diseases, cancers, etc. Thank you for joining us. This show is sponsored by our members who made donations. We'd like to give them a very big thank you. We have to cover the monthly costs of the radio station's software, bandwidth, phone lines and phone calls to be able to continue with the radio show. And thank you for listening. The LDN conference is available to everyone, regardless where you live in the world. Fast internet is required. We have an amazing lineup of LDN experts giving presentations and answering your questions. This is a unique conference not to be missed. You can join us either via the live stream at a time to suit you or in person. The presentations will be available online for 12 months, allowing you to watch as many times as you like at times to suit you. Check out www.ldn2017.com. Any questions, please email me ldn2017.linda@gmail.com. Today my guest is Debra from the US, who takes LDN for lupus. Thank you for joining us today, Debra.
Thank you, Linda.
Could you tell us how long ago it was when you were diagnosed?
I was diagnosed back in 1988, so that's almost 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was in my mid to late 20s. And at first it was, the diagnosis didn't really impact my life all that much. I just felt more tired and had, in general, a low-grade feeling like I was catching some sort of virus. But I was able to continue working. And it just kind of came and went depending on how much I worked and how much stress was in my life, but I was not debilitated. And that went on for about 10 years. I was able to function and keep working and live a relatively normal life with some limitations. And then things started to gradually degrade. And I was struggling to stay working. I was mostly impacted by an immune system that just didn't work. I would catch every virus that came along, and it would degrade into bronchitis, pneumonia. I got H1N1 when it came around, and was just eventually unable to work any longer and had to quit working. Mm-hmm. And that's been about, about 15 years ago. So for 15 years, I was able to keep chugging along, and I could tell things were getting worse, but I was able to keep working. And then 15 years ago, I just had to quit working. I was sick. I was just unable to work anymore, and my doctor recommended that I take better care of myself. So I did have to quit working, and fortunately, my husband could support us, but it was quite a traumatic change in my life. I was pretty career-oriented and very active physically and an athlete, etc., and it was quite a shock to become a disabled person after being so healthy and so active. And then the last 10 years of that have been really rough. Just compounded with other things. I was an undiagnosed celiac person, and that took several years to be finally diagnosed with the help of the Mayo Clinic here in Rochester, Minnesota. And so I was finally diagnosed with that 7 years ago, and it's been a long, slow climb back to some semblance of health. But even then, prior to LDN, just a year ago, I had about 4 hours of energy a day. And that meant I had basically one thing I could do that day, whether that was I was going to meet somebody for lunch, I was going to go to the doctor. I'm an equestrian. I ride dressage, so I was just starting to get back into riding my horses after being unable to ride for 4 years or so. And if I chose that day to ride my horse, that was the thing I did. So prior to LDN a year ago, that was my life. One thing a day, and I had to meter it out, and I had to be very careful not to schedule too much in one day. I wasn't able to do our house cleaning, for instance. It was too physically strenuous. I wasn't able to do the shopping. My husband did that. That was too physically strenuous. I really had to be very protective of the amount of energy I could expend and save it for the things that really, really brought me some joy in my life. And so that's how things progressed. Over 30 years, it just went downhill. And then I was introduced to LDN by my doctor, who's a medical doctor. He's an MD with a traditional degree, but he also has continued on to get a functional medicine training and certification here in the United States. And that additional training and education has made the difference for my health in a number of ways. But one of the ways is he introduced me to LDN last winter, and we started on it in March, and tried to start at 1.5, and it was just way too much. I had a big lupus flare, felt like I got hit by a truck. We had to back it down and started at 0.5. And every 2 weeks we would increase it by 0.5. And it took me several months to finally get to the level of, now my current dose is 4.5. And right away I noticed a difference. I even at a very low dose of 0.5 or 1 milligram, I noticed an increase in energy, and I didn't pay the price, as I say, for that energy. I would be able to exceed my 4 hours of energy and not have a lupus flare as a result. I could have 6 hours of energy and not be in bed the next day. And then I noticed I could go, as things progressed in terms of dosage and time and my body adjusted to LDN, I could go all day and not pay the price and be in bed with a lupus flare the next day. And then I was able to join a fitness club. I haven't done that for 25 years. And go work on the treadmill and joined a yoga class, all of which I couldn't do. I had tried to do, and it would just, any sort of extra exertion would send me backwards into a lupus flare. And so it just continued to progress that way, Linda. I would add more things to it. I was now walking 30 minutes a day, which, I had tried to keep walking. It's something that's important for my health, to do some walking. And we live in the country. It's just a beautiful place to walk around our farm. And but, I would get sick, and then I'd be in bed for a week, and, then I have to start all over again with the walking and build up slowly. Well, it didn't happen that way anymore. I was just able to start walking and then walk up hills. I had no problem with hills, where in the past I had an old injury that would give me trouble with hills. All those old injuries, what that lupus would like to inflame, it just didn't get inflamed anymore. And so it basically, as I said to my doctor, you've given me my life back. I'm pretty close to being a normal person. I still have lupus. It's not gone. But I think you could safely say that it's pretty much in remission. I can live a relatively normal life. I can do relatively active things. I ride my horse. I have a driving pony and a cart. I can drive the pony and I can ride the horse both in the same day. That's been unheard of, that I could work, for 5 or 6 hours out in the barn with the horses. I can help around the farm again, help my husband build fence, repair fence, just physically active things that I used to do. back to cleaning my own home and doing my own shopping and making dinners again. There was a period in our life where I couldn't cook. I just didn't have the extra energy. At the end of the day, my husband would have to come home from work and cook too. Oh, I'm cooking all the time. So it's given me my life back, Linda. It's been truly a remarkable change. I apologize for my emotions.
I understand completely, because I have MS and I have a similar story to yours. And when you are fit and healthy, you don't appreciate you're fit and healthy until you lose it. And I think when we've had that taken away from us and given back, it's so precious, isn't it? You appreciate it far more, I'm sure, than you did before you had lupus.
Oh, definitely. I was in my 20s. I took it all for granted and didn't even realize what I had. And I'm thankful every day, Linda. Yes. Every day. Yeah. It's just every day I'm thankful that I can be outside and, I'm an outdoor person, and that I can be out working with my horses or working in the garden or going for a walk with the dog. And I don't take any of it for granted. And I've learned to live one day at a time. I understand that I still have lupus and several other health conditions that they could come back. I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I'll take it today. I'll take it today. And I'm thankful for today, and I live in the present. And, if something happens and LDN no longer works for me or something else enters my life, well, we'll deal with that when that happens. But right now, today, I'm very thankful for what I have. So,
well, that is fantastic, isn't it? It's such an amazing story. And to think that you've, had lupus 30 years and how bad the lead up to LDN. Kudos to your doctor for thinking outside the box and prescribing it for you. That's amazing.
I'm very thankful that I have the doctor I have. I have organized and facilitate an autoimmune support group here in our local community, and there's a variety of people that attend. People with MS, people with Hashimoto's, one woman with chronic Lyme's disease, and this has come up in our meetings. The remarkable transformation that I've had with the LDN, and as a result, 2 other women in our small group have started LDN, one with MS and one with the Lyme's disease, and one is especially starting to see an increase in her energy level and activity level and feeling just better. The Lyme disease patient is just really feeling much better. The MS patient has just started her prescription, and we're hopeful that she'll see the same encouraging results that we've been able to see. My mother, she's in her mid-late 70s, is fibromyalgia in addition to a couple of other disorders, but fibromyalgia has been very debilitating for her. She started it. She has a different doctor than I, but she convinced her doctor to give it a try, and she's just going strong. She's no longer living on a heating pad, and just got back from a 2.5-week trip to Latvia and Estonia, and it's just really improving the same way I was. I see her out gardening in the afternoons when normally she would have hit her limit and been inside on the heating pad. So I just don't know why more people don't know about it, Linda. That's the thing. I talk about it with every chance I get with people that could benefit. I have a friend that I just reconnected with, and I discovered that she has been diagnosed with MS since I last talked with her. And I told her about my incredible journey in the LDN, just miracle that it had done for me. And I can't quite get through that she might want to give this a try. She's pretty wedded to her traditional meds that the doctors are giving her for her MS. And I have to admit, it's frustrating to not have it be more mainstream.
Yes.
I don't know quite how to break through that barrier. I feel like someone that's an evangelical religious zealot sometimes because of the way I just have such enthusiasm for it. It's just, like I say, it's given me my life back, and I just want to share it with other people who could really benefit, and I don't know quite how to get that through.
The best people to be advocates of LDN are for those people that LDN has worked so well for, and you're doing an amazing job spreading the word, and it will get easier. I started the LDN Research Trust back in 2004, so 13 years ago, and it was very difficult then. But we've just had the conference in Portland, which was absolutely amazing, live streamed around the world. What we need to do is get as many prescribers, doctors, physician's assistant, nurse prescribers, etc., to watch, because there is so much really good information there, and the feedback has been terrific. And thank you very much for sharing your story with us, Debra.
Well, you're most welcome, Linda. I'm happy to do whatever I can to, if one other person can have their life improved by this through my sharing the story, then that's worth it. It's just definitely a miracle drug for me, and I'm thankful every day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.